Effective leadership is no longer about command and control. It even goes beyond authority and delegation. True leadership is rooted in empathy, understanding, and ability to foster an environment that effectively creates acceptance for the people that are working within it. This week in the Practicing Leader podcast, we'll be talking about what I call acceptance cycles. It is the ability for leaders to embrace their team members as they are and paves the way for growth and allows individuals to then accept others in the future. I'm your host, Parul Bhargava, and let's discuss. If you'd like to have a question answered as part of the podcast, I can give you two options as ways to get in touch with me. You can go ahead and give a call to 206 651 4312 and leave a message. Or alternatively, you can send me an email to questions@thepracticingleader.com. Acceptance cycles is something that is a term I've coined to describe when a leader is able to accept their team members as they are, so that way they can be as authentic as they can be. This enables them to then also accept others. During this podcast, what we'll be talking about is how do you exhibit the behaviors? That way you can start creating that first level of acceptance, so that way individuals can feel like they're doing their best work. When I look at what my why is and when I think about what I do, an acceptance cycle is similar to the model of training the trainer. You are trying to accept somebody else so that way they get to a place where they then themselves can accept others. The more depth you get in your organization where you can accept people and have them accept people as well, will build an organization that is tightly knit together and allow individuals to be able to lean on one another to get a better result overall. Similar when you're doing train the trainer, you're trying to train individuals so that way they can train others as well. You're trying to do the exact same thing when you're dealing with acceptance cycles. The place where I derive the most fulfillment is where I'm able to accept and inspire others so that way they can do their best work. That's what I strive for. So let's go ahead and start talking about what some of the behaviors that I exhibit on a day-to-day basis to try to enable others so that way they can show up as their best selves. The first one being active listening. In order for you to be able to accept others, you need to be able to listen and be able to hear what they're saying. Leaders that are genuinely able to listen to their team members without judgment and create a safe space for open communication, you're going to get better engagement from your people. This is where leaders will seek to understand perspectives, experiences, and unique strengths to be able to figure out where do people best fit and how do you leverage individuals to be able to deliver the best results they can. And while you're doing all of that, being sure that you're demonstrating respect and validating each team member's, whether they be thoughts, their emotions, whatever you can do to be able to foster that sense of acceptance within an individual member of the team. With that listening, you now also need to be able to think about how can you be empathetic as well as understanding as to where an individual is at that time. If you're trying to be a practicing leader, you want to figure out how do you show up for that individual where they need you, where they are at. You need to be there to be able to acknowledge whatever challenges they're running into, celebrate whatever victories that they have, and empathize with their struggles and with their triumphs. Be able to be there and be present for them. When you make it easy for your team members to know that you understand them and you empathize with them, they're on the path to realizing that you accept them just as they are. One other thing about empathy is understanding that you have a keyhole size view into a person's life. You only see a very, very small portion of it, and you never know what else is going on for that individual. Being there and present so that way you can hear them where they're at and help them where they need you is going to be important, because you're never going to get a full perspective, but having that willingness to be understanding of their scenario or their issue is going to help them in their journey. That way, wherever they are at that moment, you can help them be better off tomorrow. For an acceptance cycle to truly be an acceptance cycle, you need to embrace diversity in all its. Leaders who celebrate and value diversity will create an inclusive environment, create an environment where people will eventually feel like that they belong. We often talk about diversity, inclusion, equity. Really, what we're looking at is how do we help people feel like that they belong on a day-to-day basis? And it's the feeling of belonging that the individual feels, not the feeling of belonging that you're trying to place on somebody else. We measure things like diversity and inclusion because those things are visible and measurable. But really, the goal that we're looking for is for individuals to feel like they belong somewhere and that they feel that they're not the other in a group of people. That's what our goal is. And if you're truly trying to accept people where they are and how they are, that also means that you need to show how they're going to be included and how they can feel like they belong to this group. We can also talk about diversity in context of differing thoughts, differing background, differing lived experiences. And all of this helps to encourage collaboration and creativity and innovation because when you bring all of these ideas together, there gives you a better opportunity to be able to find the best solution possible versus a single point of view. When you're embracing diversity, you're actually reinforcing the benefits of acceptance and helping others know that if they're accepted, they too can also accept others. The next part of this is around feedback. As you're accepting individuals, it does not mean that people do not need to improve or do not need to change behaviors in order to be able to achieve results. Acceptance cycles are not meant to be like, oh, look, I'm accepting everybody and that's it, and you can do whatever you want. That's not the purpose. There's a place for constructive feedback to help people grow and help people deliver better results over time. This is where you can provide guidance, you can provide support for your team members, you can focus on their growth and development. By offering feedback in a respectful and constructive manner, leaders demonstrate their commitment to their team's success. The behavior of providing constructive feedback and providing guidance to your team members will help build trust, encourage team members to show up and, one, accept the feedback, as well as fostering a culture of continuous improvement within your organization. And lastly, recognition and appreciation. Express your genuine recognition and appreciation for work that people have done, whether it's because they've exhibited a key behavior in cultivating a better environment, whether it be great work that they did on a project, whatever, big or small, take the time to be thankful for that work. That gratitude can go a long way. By creating value in those achievements and creating positive and effectively a motivating work environment, that recognition is going to carry that individual forward and be able to say, okay, yes, I did that a good thing. I got recognized for that. Maybe I should keep on doing that thing. This will help you be able to create a sense of acceptance of individuals because they are getting both constructive feedback to help them grow, but also appreciation and recognition for the good work that they've done. So they can see the growth they can see the growth multiplying on itself. By bundling all of these behaviors together, it allows you to be able to create a virtuous cycle of acceptance and appreciation over time. In a world that often emphasizes differences and division, leaders who embrace acceptance become a beacon of change. By actively listening, empathizing, embracing diversity, and providing constructive feedback, leaders create an acceptance cycle that permeates through their teams and their organizations, allowing the teams to grow and become more tightly knit over time. These behaviors are rooted in what's called value based leadership principles and allow leaders to be able to build strong and collaborative teams where individuals feel accepted and then are empowered to accept others as well. It is a powerful foundation for achieving shared goals and fostering a culture that you would want to work in and day out. This has been the Practicing Leader podcast. I'm your host, Prul Bhargava, and I'll talk to you next week.